was going to say good morning, but I actually think it's now afternoon with our 120 post today, as we have moved post times up depending on the number of races. And if you can figure it out, you're a smarter man than either Paul or I. But I do know that we're 120.
Yeah.
I think I believe after March 10th, because daylight savings is March 9th. Is that early?
It's it's usually the second week in March. So I guess
okay.
I think it's usually
Sunday
so it's usually the second week of March. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So anyway. They'll be 120 soon enough, but it's 120 today. Anyway, we have an 8-race car with a carryover in the Pick Six as well at $30,000. And we'll get right to work here. Head over to NYRA Bets. If you're not a member of NYRA Bets, no better time than the present. Use the promo code Match. I got March on my brain. It's your fault, Paul. I'm blaming you.
I'm leaving.
Any idea who that horse is? Sarah would know. She always knows. Match 200. We'll match for $200 of your initial deposit. We have a Pick Six carryover, $30,248 left over from Sunday's card. Interesting card this past Sunday. I watched it from home. I was gearing up for the Super Bowl. You know, I'm really huge on the Super Bowl.
Big for you.
Oh yeah. I watched most of the Super Bowl, which is more football combined than I've watched in the last 10 years. There's a $5,000 hit and split in the late pick 5 at Aqueduct. Got to opt in at NYRA Bets. You'll want to do that. I left my phone in my office, or I'd be doing it now. But you'll want to get that done. You want to get involved in that. The late pick 5 here today, of course. Also the Pick Six carryover as well, so some good action there. What else do we have? Cross country pick 5, 2, 3 at Aqueduct, 2 at Oaklawn as well. I'm not sure we show the 10th at Oaklawn.
No, it's only the 9th on the show today.
Always good to include a race that we knew we were going to show the show. What else do we have? The show, 3 to 6, FS2, 3, 2, 6. Richie's here. Maggie left us. Maggie's actually in New Orleans. And then she's going to be in Oakland next weekend. So, but the MIG is here. And anyway, all right. And you're here, Paul. So let's go. Race number 1. Let's start out with a video of Malu, 1 of 2 for Todd Pletcher, running second last time to Shelley, and the Splendid One running second and third. You have picked the Splendid One. Go ahead.
I just think the Splendid One needed that last race. Listen, I know we're at the 0 for 12 status now. And
only 0 for 7 on dirt, to be fair. I don't worry about the turf.
And I guess, this horse got bumped pretty good while wide, dropped off a little bit, came back in this race. Does she really have to step forward that much to beat Malu in here? It's only about a length difference when you think about it.
I don't think she has to step up particularly at all. I think one of the things that would bother me with her is that she's going to get bet off bigger figs in turf races. And her turf figs make her look, if you're just looking at the figs, it makes her look faster than she is. If you just sort of draw a line through them, now you're talking about a horse that mostly runs in the 40s. And she can win. It would be silly to say she couldn't.
Yeah.
But that's my biggest problem with her.
Obviously the argument is she probably is better on turf, but Malu and Miss Fat, I can't with the 2 Pletcher runners.
I don't like either one of them.
Yeah.
I agree. Of the 2, I far prefer Malu, who I picked second this race, who I thought ran fine last time, and no big deal. But Miss Fashionista will show her last race. I don't want to be too hard on Strange Fruit, but we know Strange Fruit.
Yeah.
And if Miss Fashionista wins, I'm going to lose. I've never liked this horse. She's just slow, and she's a horse that takes money because she's in the Todd Pletcher barn. And I understand they win a lot of races, but this is some of the worst horses in their barn.
Yeah, I'm against her for all the reasons you said in here, and especially the fact that she's going to take money. The problem is people are going to bet her too, because when you just look at the horses, she does kind of fit at this level. From a standpoint.
Fit.
Yeah, well, they can all get the distance. It depends who's getting it fast.
Nobody's impossible in this race because nobody's that good.
Yeah, I don't know. I just couldn't make a case for the 2 Pletcher.
I like Accelerina.
Yeah.
I thought Accelerina's race in the maiden 32 back made her the horse to beat. She beat Malu that day. I think she ran a better race than Malu did that day. Then you get her running on the dirt in an impossible spot where she had no chance, and she was wide on a day you probably wanted to be on the rail, so she has a viable excuse last time. And I just feel as though her dirt races, she doesn't really have that many of them, are just better than these. So I prefer her in this spot for Rudy. But anybody that's taking a massive stand here, and if you're right, I salute you. Otherwise, it's hard to be too enthusiastic about anybody in this race, but I prefer Accelerina. You like the number 7, the Splendid One. Race number 2, and we did have an extraordinary number of scratches today. There's no doubt this card was affected by scratches. And I don't think any race was more affected by scratches than this one, where you not only lost a major player in the number 2 Magnolia Midnight, but also a speed horse in here. And because of that, it just feels like Just Call Ray and Market Alert are going to be the most forward horses in here, and they may be the 2 best horses anyway. As far as Market Alert, I know you scratched into him. I liked him anyway. Obviously, any value I thought I'd get is gone at this point. This is a horse that was going to win his last race. He's the number 2. He was just badly blocked in the run of the stretch. He would have won with a clean trip. Not the rider's fault, just unlucky.
Yeah, without a doubt. And that trouble definitely, found him in here, and he should have won that race. And, even the start 2 back, he ran well behind Gentleman Joe. I have no qualms about that race either. He's got back races that make him tough in here. He's first off the claim for the Canton Marcies. And I just, like I said, now with what's left, I originally was giving Magnolia Midnight the look. Now with what's left, I just think Market Alert is probably the horse to beat here.
Yeah, I didn't like Magnolia Midnight. I don't like the last 2 races and wanted to get away from that horse, so I'm disappointed that he scratches in here. And obviously, from a gambling standpoint, the whole thing changed with him coming out.
Yeah.
The problem with Bold Victory, who was so bad a 1.25 miles, and you would have thought with his running style he would have liked a 1.25 miles, but he just has no pace to run at. And one thing about him, he takes a long time to get going, even when he's running well.
Yeah, he's got those strides that get him a while to get into gear. And his last 2 races, I mean, they were front-end types of races, even going the longer distances.
Better horses.
Yeah, better horses, too, without a doubt. He just didn't do much running, as you said.
So bad.
Yeah, I mean, he drops here. He's pace compromised here. I guess when you're looking at what's left, it's Just Call Ray and him.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not going to be shocked if he does well.
Yeah.
I like closers in one-turn races, but it just feels like he's not going to get the kind of pace he needs.
No, and I also kind of feel like, too, it's a horse we've seen with Rick Dutrow that he's moved horses up when he's claimed horses. This horse hasn't really kind of like panned out for him.
No.
So this horse has dropped back now, and I guess, I don't know. For me, it's kind of like Market Alert or bust at this point in here. I don't really have a strong opinion of what's left in here.
I think the 1 or 3 will win this race. I don't want to disregard Just Call Ray off the claim for Horacio De Paz. This horse was wide last time on a day the rail was very, very strong. So he does have a massive excuse last time and actually didn't run badly. I actually am not sure he's not the horse to beat in here and probably will be the favorite by post time. I prefer the 3, but I thought it was close between 1 and 3. You're going to give a little bit of a look to Bold Victory. Race number 3, another massive scratch in here, and David Jacobson had 4 horses entered, 3 betting entries, and 4 total horses. They all came out. I don't know what the story is there, but this horse comes out, and it really does change the race because I don't know what you do with horses like this because, this horse, Starship Giant, is the perfect example of how you can't use actual handicapping to decide what to do with David Jacobson horses because there's nowhere at any point in this horse's career does that race 2 back belong. It's like, what's that old thing from Sesame Street? One of these things is not like the other, and all the other races stink. After that, you kind of left with Mersal and Hazardous Humor as the 2, though you've split them up. I'll let you talk about Mersal.
So for me, it was just as simple as this horse has improved, I think, every start since the claim by Rick Dutrow. It's been in increments. It's not these huge jumps. I thought this horse has been facing better horses.
I wish she had won first opening day at Saratoga that day at 19-1. I thought she was going to win that race top stretch. This is going to be a great omen for the meet for me. It was a good meet, but
you just didn't start off well.
No,
listen, it's how you finish. It's not how you start.
No, I started out well on opening day. I just didn't get this horse home at 19-1. She looked like a winner mid-stretch.
Yeah. So the drop down in class, the cutback in distance, I think that matters for this horse. She's improved in every start. And horses she's faced, too. I think Pharaoh's Heart, Coppagal, Ain't Broke, even Starship Defiant, they're better than some of the horses that are in here.
Oh, she's running against much better horses.
So she's faced...
Let me just ask you about distance. And I don't mind cutbacks, but isn't 6 furlongs the question, especially given the fact that there really isn't that much speed in this race? Does that worry you a little bit?
I wonder if, with the rail, maybe they're a little bit more aggressive with this horse. I mean, Jose Gomez has been riding well. He's been aggressive with some horses.
Jose's been riding great this winter. Best I've seen him ride. Especially since losing the bug.
Yeah.
He's been a different rider, I agree.
And I think from the inside post, I think he's probably going to be up close, if not going. I mean, really, if
he doesn't have the speed, this horse can't be in front.
Well, I mean, she's a little edgy. He's probably going to be in front. I mean, I would think she's a little bit edgy. She's faster than...
If Kendrick's not in front here, then she got completely left.
I mean, sitting in a second spot or in a pocket trip will remain anonymous. I think this horse on the cutback and the drop's going to help in here.
Isn't Manny going to be second, would remain anonymous?
Yeah, I mean, but even holding that inside position, I mean,
I'm
just the
not.
fact
I
yeah.
feel as though that she's a horse that doesn't necessarily have the speed to keep up with these. That could come. She's one of the horses to beat. I'm not against her. I'm just poking holes in a horse who's going to be the favorite.
Yeah, I mean, the thing for me is if you look at the race 2 starts back, she was well off that pace. But if you look at some of her other races, she's only been like 2 lengths out of it when they've gone 22 to the quarter. If she can be right there from an inside aggressive ride, she's not going to be too far out of it, I don't think.
We'll see. We'll see how the pace is. I don't know. She doesn't have a lot of speed. But I am dying to know what your thing is with Collect Dat.
Goofy horse. Just a goofy
think?
horse. A goofy horse splitting up some of the favorites in here with a bigger price for the exacta. I mean, on the Dam side, Dam was a dirt sprinter, and the horses that this horse has run against up at Woodbine, I mean, Happy Valentine, My Sunny Valentine, they're good horses. They're faster speed types. In My Sunny Valentine's case is in
You
the
wouldn't want to be an announcer and get Happy Valentine
Yeah.
and Sunny Valentine in a speed stretch.
in the same
would
race,
you?
or the horse that she ran second to 2 starts back as well, who I'm not going to pronounce as a.
Doesn't she have to improve though as a dirt horse to win?
She does, and I'm not saying that she's going to be
She's a big
anywhere
price.
really
I'm
close.
just-
yeah,
I'm just
that she's going to
asking.
be really close. I'm looking to put her in the second and third spots underneath. The last 2 tries though that she's run for the actual tag, she's won those races and she's done it from slightly off the pace. So I think if she takes to the dirt in here, she's going to be a price, and I'll just use her underneath the 1 and try to split the 1 and the 4.
She
in here.
does have pedigree to handle it. I'm not no argument with that. I like Hazardous Humor. I'm sorry, the 3 scratch because I lost some of the price, and she's one that I'm hoping can be a little more forward, though she doesn't have a lot of speed either. I mean, she comes back for Ray Handel, first time for Ray last time, and she's running against horses that are in a completely different world than the horses she's running in today. And I agree with you about the 1 dropping, but she's dropping even more and going to be a better price. I like Hazardous Humor. I think I liked her in a race she was scratched out of a few weeks ago, but I like her in this spot as well. Race number 4, not completely destroyed by scratches as Bell's Tolling was a big price. I think scratches out of this race. We'll look at the favorite, the number 5, Dame Catherine, and she's the horse to beat in here. Why did you pick against her?
I just am not crazy. I know last time out she ran well, but she was on the inside and there were slower times and the track was playing differently and
This was a gold rail.
Yeah.
And I think that her performance is dressed up by the fact that she was on a gold
Yeah.
rail. And while she's probably the horse to beat, I think her 45 buyer, which as sad as it may seem, kind of sticks out in this field, is probably a little bit phony. So the reality is she's probably a mid-30s horse. Now, the horse that you and I have both picked still has to improve. So why did you pick Callie's Storm?
So I think, anyway, she was on a dead rail last time out, almost the whole way around. And obviously, when you look at 2 starts back, she chased that solid pace. So I think that looks better than it actually is on paper. She's one of those horses for me that just looks better on paper, looks better visually.
She's better. She's better than she looks on paper.
That's what it is. I couldn't get it out. So, you know,
and I agree with you.
she's a full sister to Cali Magic, and I just think,
Cali Magic is not telling her friends about that.
yeah, but you know what?
Well,
I think
don't you also wonder a little bit as an Al Cali, and I know that Cali Magic is probably a little better shorter, but don't you wonder if maybe a little more distance could be her friend?
Yeah, I don't think distance is going to hurt this horse. And just based on her last 2 races, I feel like the stretch out is going to help this horse. This horse is probably going to be 8 or 10 to 1 in here, I think.
I don't know what price she'll be. I don't worry about that. I look at David's lines, and he's usually right. She gets Lasix the first time. She's also going out for a barn that's been on a very, very good run, and she is a little better than she looks. She got off the rail a little bit in the stretch last time, but she spent an awful long time down in the inside, and I agree with you there. And, you know, the truth is, her first race off the turf or not, she ran a figure that's competitive enough that if she can handle the stretch out, and she does have excuse last time out, so I took her as well. And because the other thing is, where the heck else do you go in here if you're trying to beat the 5? I mean, you've got the 4 second. Please enlighten me.
I simply put, I mean, I know the numbers are not good
She only
from
ran
here.
once,
She's
so
ugly
she's-
stretching it. Yeah. So for me, I just thought maybe showing some speed on the stretch out after that first race, maybe a fast track would help this horse a little bit. I was against a horse like Dame Catherine. I guess the horse you have third, Awesome Glow, is a horse that you can use in here and hold her close were the only other options that I was kind of looking at.
One thing Dave Catherine has going for her is she is supposed to be the controlling speed in this
Yeah.
race, for what it's worth. And, you know, the track finally got fair. A week ago Friday was a very tricky track, and I didn't get that strongly into it because the day started out last Friday like we continued to have that super gold rail. Now, you don't want to use 2 races to start the day, but it really had that look. And then suddenly it changed, and I was talking to David Aragon about this because I was I wasn't sure, but he made a reasonable case to me that the last couple races, the track was, the rail was dead.
Yeah, it kind of got.
And you wonder a little bit about the track, and we did get that snow this week, and I wonder how the track will be playing today.
This morning, actually, when I was here, they were actually watering it a little bit as they were. The water truck was actually following it along as they were harrowing it out a little bit. So, I mean, that usually tends to help get the track
Well,
a
I
little
mean,
bit
the other
more.
thing we've had, I mean, not only have we had more biases over the last couple of months than I've seen here probably in the last 3 years, we've also dealt with a track that in a lot of cases has been extraordinarily slow. What the situation is, I don't know. And it hasn't even been that bad a winter. I mean,
No.
we had a little snow.
I feel like last winter too, the track slowed down for a time. Not as drastic as it
egregious,
did this
I mean.
year, but last year I feel like there were a couple of weeks where it did slow down, and I just don't know if it was temperature.
Well, it's probably a cold.
Yeah.
It's dealing, I mean, not that they're, but the 130 plus for
This
7
time was-
furlongs was
yeah,
a lot different
this
than
time
we've
was-
seen in the past. We'll be back with the late pick 4. Keep in mind, you want to opt in. Use this break to opt in for that $5,000 hit and split in the late pick 5. We'll be back with the late pick 4.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. Paul Verderosa and me, Andy Serling. Race number 5. I just had to show the replay, and I forgot she wasn't here, but how could I not show the famous Maggie Exacta going back to November of 2022 when Maggie T beat Maggie. But since then, I think Maggie has proved to be the better of the 2 horses. Would you disagree?
No, I agree with you that Maggie is the better horse over Maggie T. And I was wondering at first
The
too.
T has sort of slowed her down.
Yeah, maybe it's all dragging that excess
How
weight.
green the grass is. It's
I
late
know.
November.
I know. Somebody messaged me today and said, "Is that snow on the turf course?" I was like, "Yeah, we don't see that often around here anymore, thankfully." But yeah, I can't wait to see that turf course looking
Very
like
bright.
that again
We were
soon.
upstairs a little earlier. you
Yeah.
and I, and it's very bright with the snow. You've picked Maggie on top.
Yeah,
She's not even here for you to suck up to her.
I know. I know.
Kind of disappointing.
I know. I listen.
Probably not watching either.
I
hope
know.
she's
No, I'm sure she's not. But
not. You have my sympathy if you are.
yeah,
Kids
I,
would be really driving her crazy if she turned to Talking Horses.
yeah, she just stuck her earpiece in and decided to listen to us.
You don't think that
us bickering are better than her children, I
you
guess.
don't think that I don't recall any bickering, but you don't think that Grace is dying to watch the show? Anyway, have at it.
No, for me, listen, last time out was not exactly the best field, and now she's been gone for 2 months, but she did chase wide.
Well, she is dropping.
Yeah,
precipitously
yeah.
off
The
last
drop
race.
and back races that, win here.
Does the drop worry you, though, given how badly she ran? Now, it was a sloppy sealed track, but Ray knows it was a sloppy sealed track, and he's still dropping her over $10,000 from where he claimed her, and the purse is $28,000, so that's $15,400 if she wins, of which after paying the jockey, you're down to $14,000, you pay the trainer, you're down to about $12,000, and you're sort of breaking even on the whole thing, and they've had the horse now for 3 months, or 2 months, 2.5 months.
yeah.
So this is a losing proposition even with a win here. That worries me a little.
A little. It's a more realistic spot, though. Her good efforts make her solid in here. Value probably is not there from a betting standpoint, but I think she's going to probably, if she's right, she'll probably sit the right kind of trip in here. And last time out, she got wired, too. So
Well, wait a minute. You say she's going to see the right kind of trip. There's not a lot of speed in this race, and she's not exactly a bullet.
I mean, I think she's going to be sitting maybe third in here.
Okay.
Second
The
or
pace
third or
projector has her 6th or 7th.
Oh.
I'm just telling you.
You
I'm
know,
not-
yeah,
Pace
but-
projector doesn't always work out, but it has her slower. I mean,
I
Maggie
mean-
T's going to be in front of her. Isn't Vax going to be in front of her?
Yeah, I mean, but, horses, I mean, I guess a horse like Vax, I mean, do you trust this? I know it's a well-suited
I
drop.
don't trust anybody in this
Yeah.
race, but at least Vax is going to be a slightly better price, and I think she's going to be forward in a race that may not have that much speed. And Max gets Trevor, so you've got a rider switch on her a little bit. And listen, she's been terrible. She gets a rider change. Now, she was terrible when she was claimed,
Yeah.
or she went bad when she went in the barn switch from Linda Rice. Now she's with Mike Maselli. is still the negative. The question is, but Linda, Linda didn't have her that long, right? Linda only had her for
Yeah.
one race. She was with her before that, but she was with Maker. She may have fallen apart as well, but she's going to be more forward, and she's going to be a better price than Maggie.
I know you don't buy too much into it, but does it bother you a little bit that like most of her faster races have been
On
off
wet
going
tracks?
races? Yeah. Does it? I mean, I know you're not big on that, but I'm not.
Except not all of her fast enough races are on it. I'm not so sure. But yeah, no, I thought about
Okay.
that. She is a horse that seems to move up on a wet track. I'm not going to argue that.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
I don't love her.
I have her fourth, and I have her behind a horse like Simple. I just don't trust some of these horses. That's the thing. Like, I just don't.
I think Try Again is dangerous. I
Yeah.
mean, the problem with Try It Again is that even when she was good, she wasn't a winning type. She was having trouble sealing the deal in her races. But I think she deserves a look dropping down. She's also dropping significantly.
Yeah, and I also feel like, too, she was against it last time out. The rail was good, and then 2 starts back, she was wide.
But the horses that did running in that race were outside because that race kind of fell apart. So I agree with you that she was against it, but she was with the flow of the race. So
yeah,
it's
so
a little mitigated.
it's like 6 of one, half a dozen of another.
She can win.
Yeah, no, I have her second. I think she can win for sure in here, So that was my appeal with her, and I just think she's just been so wide in her last few starts. And some of it was by a function because a lot of times they were avoiding the inside part of the track for whatever reason, whether it was dead or not. We saw that a lot during the.
Which day are we talking about?
No, I'm just talking about like even in her last like December 3rd, January 26th. A lot of times riders were wide, but they really, I don't know. To me, and I
There are many days
Yeah.
here over the past 2 months where the riders have stayed well off the rail, and there's been absolutely nothing wrong with the rail.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this is a criticism, but there's no question that riders frequently avoid the rail here, and they don't even know the rail is bad. And I agree. And there are days where you would say, well, the rider's staying off it, therefore the rail's dead. And no, horses will rally up the inside. And there have been quite a few of those days.
Yeah, and it's hard to then go back and you go back and watch and you wonder if this horse was an 8 wide, if this horse was 3 wide, maybe this horse would have had a better effort.
Well, there's very
It's-
few horses that are 8 wide except phony stuff that guys make up in the
Yeah.
charts in Kentucky. But that's a whole other
yeah.
discussion. What do you do with Simple Sugar, whose last race makes her a player? Where the heck did that come from?
Yeah, I mean, to me, that was a standout from a figure standpoint. I mean, she is what she is. The question is, I mean, did she improve?
Not impossible.
Yeah, and is she going to improve one more time? Because one more improvement makes her a serious player in this race. I have her third only because I just feel like she's the horse on the outside that's probably going to be on the pace or up close to the pace, and she's been running well. So I just don't know what to do with her. The 2 for 26 bothers me with the 6 seconds, but she
Who are you so afraid of in
Yeah,
here?
exactly.
What about Shoop? There it is, off the claim for Robbie Falcone.
This horse was up close and then came up empty on a day where speed up close was good on New Year's Eve.
I understand, but it's still a claim by Robbie Falcone on a horse that has figures that are fast enough to win, albeit at Finger Lakes. I don't trust her going this short in here, but I do think. And Robbie's 1 for 7 with 5 hitting the board, but 5 or 6 of the horses were pretty short, turning a horse back from a route to a sprint off the claim.
Yeah.
All I'm saying about this race is
It's wide open.
it's wide open.
Yeah, it's wide open.
Because it's very hard to say, wow, this was the horse
Yeah.
to beat in here. Race number 6, which has a number of drop downs in race number 6. What did you do here?
I ended up on Shamrock Shake, who's dropping again. First time gelding gets Lasix for the first time. And I feel like that this horse last time out had that weird moment where Allegrini was kind of moving in and out on the backstretch, like a stride or two in and out. And I feel like Trevor had to kind of just take back for a second. It wasn't a full-on steady. It probably wasn't enough to do much damage, but I just feel like before this horse moved again, this horse had to stop because of the horse weaving in and out a little bit, path to path. I think the cutback's going to help. The drop helps Lasix for the first time. In a race where I wasn't really crazy about the entry that scratched out anyway, this was the horse that I had selected on top from the start.
And you're getting excited because we're like a month away from St. Patrick's Day, and you'll go to McDonald's and get the Shamrock Shake.
You know, I'm trying to think of the last time that I've actually had McDonald's. That is...
I had Burger King in Jamaica, believe it or not.
Really?
Because, well, we were heading to the track very early on Saturday and hadn't had a chance to get any breakfast because we were sort of in a hurry, and there was a Burger King. You know what apparently is great in Jamaica? And we didn't get to go there. This is the whole thing. We can ask the guys about it. Ask Bobby and Eldon. Eldon seemed to know, though, that apparently Kentucky Fried Chicken is very different in Jamaica.
Okay.
That's what they were telling us.
All right.
Now we didn't get a chance to go. I'm not a fast food guy either, but we did stop at Burger King. I'm more of a Burger King guy,
Okay.
and a Saratoga Spring Water type guy, which we didn't have in Jamaica, as I can remember. I had it at lunch somewhere the other day. Forget where.
In the city?
Yeah, a lot of places
Yeah.
in the city have it, but I had it somewhere in the city for lunch. Anyway, all right, I looked at the drop downs. I want the drop downs
Yeah.
from maiden special weights to maiden claimers in this race, and there are a couple of them in here. Well, there's three. I didn't use Conniving. Who knows? He's a total wild card. He doesn't look like much. I did Gum Island, Bill Mott Barn. Overall, they have pretty good numbers, especially cutting back and distance. Turnbacks, they're okay, but in general, they're pretty good. 4 for 10 on turnbacks, dropping maiden special and maiden claimer. Thought this horse was run against significantly better horses than these. And Skylar's Artemis, another drop down here for the Terra Nova barn. And if you haven't noticed, you left the Terra Nova barn completely. Wow.
And
you've
it's
done-
funny, too, because I've been using his horses.
His
too.
horse
Yeah.
has been running
Yeah.
extremely well, and both John and Tanya Terranova, they do a great job in the barn, and they're running very, very well. So I took the two drop downs in here.
Yeah.
What is the Piccolo Diavolo?
I think they were just intent last time on trying to make the lead, and then he just ended up in a bad spot, being hustled in between horses. Maybe he gets a cleaner trip today. Blinkers go on. I mean, I'm.
He ain't much horse.
Yeah, I
that
know,
ain't
and I'm
much
sure
horse.
the 8's going to go out to the front if the 8 has any gate
You would
speed.
think the 8 will be in front.
Yeah.
If he's not, then
Yeah,
something happens. at the
Something's
start.
not right. So I was just taking a shot with the 5 there. But Gum Island is a horse, too, that I'm with in here, too. I just run against so much better.
I'm going to lean on the two
Yeah.
drop downs. You have a different opinion in race number 6. Race number 7. Race number 7 is a fun race.
Yeah.
And while there are scratches, one thing, it does affect the pace, and it certainly helps my horse a little bit in here. Let's start with 10 Cent Town. And David made this entry 9-5, and I can't blame him because both these horses are coming off big figs. But I got to tell you something. 10 Cent Town was the they knew of the century. Was able to control in the front end, and there is too much speed for him to be in front in this race. And with Big Engine, who also ran extremely well and has been claimed by Rick Dutrow, and I'm not going to be surprised if they win. I won't be shocked if they run 1-2. It just feels like this entry is going to be a very short price, and I'm not really in love with either one of them. You know, one Big Engine runs a big figure and been running much lower. 10 Cent Town runs this huge figure in the mud when he can control, and now there's more speed. I just am a little skeptical of these horses.
Yeah, Big Engine was the horse that I wanted, if anyone,
I
out of-
agree.
out of this entry, because I
There should
like
be some
you.
pace.
Yeah, and I mean, like you, I feel like they're going to go with the same tactics today, but boy, there's a lot more speed in here to keep him company.
And the other thing about Big Engine is he does have a lot of back races
Yes.
that can get to these
Yeah.
numbers, whereas 10 Cent Town doesn't.
No,
So
yeah.
unless he's just a completely new horse, he could easily revert to being a mid-70s to 80
Yeah.
horse, which won't make him competitive here.
No, and this is a prime example of what we talked about in an earlier race with the horse that Rick didn't improve. Rick took this horse off the claim and improved this. We see him jump
And
them
they
up in
knew.
class, and they do. And
They
run
knew.
well. Yeah. So, you know, maybe he's got one more in him, but boy, there's
Maybe
a
he's
lot
got
of.
10 more in him. I don't know.
But I just don't think this is the right spot for him.
And it's also an entry.
Yeah.
And you know, I say it, but I'm going to keep saying it until they change it. The Gaming Commission needs to change the entry rule. It's something we would like to get changed, and it's for the betterment of the fans. And I believe that things should be done when they're better for horse players. Horse players, it's 2024. We want to bet on the horse that we want to bet. We don't want to get stuck with other people's money on another horse. Almost every racetrack has gotten rid of, and jurisdictions gotten rid of entries. Why are we lagging behind? Be the boss who you have on top. We'll take a look at, I think this is his race 2 back. He caught the slop last time. He also dealt with today's flavor. He's obviously very good. And the one thing he was able to do here was rate.
Yeah, perfect trip or not, he rated and he got the job
Oh, he
done
rated,
in here.
though. It's big.
Yeah, and he ran well, and then he, of course, I mean, last time out, listen, speed was good that day. He was wide. He took that lead early, and he tired against today's flavor, General Banker. He's been gone a little bit, so maybe that race took a little bit out of him. This spot's not exactly easy. There's good horses in this race, but he's probably going to be in a good spot again in here. He can win in here. Yeah.
He's a major player. He's a
Yeah.
little unreliable, but he's a major player in here. You have the number 4, the Institute second. Isn't this a much tougher spot
Yes.
for him?
Yeah, much tougher spot. I was relying on a lot of hitting in here. I think the cutback's going to help him a little bit, but he does need more
He
against
was
this
on the
group.
rail last
Yeah.
time, like Don't Lose Cruise. And the
Yeah.
rail was good that day. You know, I took a flyer with What's Up Bro off the claim for Linda Rice. And we'll take a look at the last race. This horse got bet last time. he could have been 12 to 1 in this race. I have no idea, but they knew he was going to run. And he was a complete and total runoff. And yeah, he got run down fairly easily, but the horse who ran him down came back to win and beat a better field, albeit with a perfect trip, but he still came back and beat a better field. And he really ran last time. And it's not as though he's a horse that hadn't shown the ability to run well in the past, because he ran that 80 Beyer last year, good trip or not. He's always been a horse that's had some ability, and I think this is a race which is a lot better than his eventual 80 Beyer figure looks. And based on his speed last time, he can be gone, especially with the scratch of the 5. But he's also a horse that's rated before
Yes.
in 1-2, and he draws well towards the outside, and his price was going to be right. And it just feels to me like, I mean, Linda, she must have dropped it. I bet she dropped the slip on this horse for 25 and didn't get him. And she came back for 45. Now, I don't know that she did, but I remember, who was that good sprinter, New York bred, that just got retired this summer? Got really good at Saratoga 2 years ago.
Oh,
Betty Blue Eyes?
Betty Blue?
Betty Blue?
Betsy Blue.
Betsy Blue?
Betsy Blue? Betsy Blue.
Betty Blue is a French movie that if you've
Yeah,
seen
I
it,
think
you
it was
remember
Betsy
it.
Blue.
With Beatrice Dahl. Anyway, it's the guy who made Diva. Did you ever see Diva?
No.
Oh, Diva's a great movie. Like his French name, Beigneux, something like that. Anyway, I'm going to hope that this is just one of these horses that Linda is really smart on. The fact that she went in for 45, I trust her, and I'm hoping he's new horse. But this is a wide open race.
Yeah, this is a cool race. I think the last 2 races came up really cool.
I agree.
On the card.
I don't think Z-Bear is impossible if the race falls apart. I don't trust him.
I have him third. I think the cutback, and he's, faced some decent fields along the way, so.
No, he's
Yeah.
not. This is.
Yeah.
There really aren't. I don't think there are a lot of weak horses in this race. I think you look through, and pretty much everybody in here has credentials to be competitive.
Yeah.
I agree. And the last race is very good. The last 2 races are terrific races. I know some scratches. One thing to remember, Red DGP and Dr. Settle's Dream are both in tomorrow. I don't know what happened to What a Blast. Saflo's Mission was probably the biggest player that came out that we thought might run.
Yeah, I had him on top.
We'll take a look at Best Bet, and this is, I think, 2 races back, winning at Churchill. This is back almost 2 years ago. I don't think ran that badly in a tough spot last time out, chasing Disarmed. Is he the speed of the speed? Because the inside 2 have speed, but I wondered if he could outrun them. But it could be a pretty quick pace.
Yeah, I'm sure he needed the last speed versus better drops. Works are good coming into this race. I don't trust this
You're
horse.
sure he needed the last.
Yeah,
You're
well,
sure he did.
I asked him. I stopped by and I asked, but I don't trust him. And I kind of feel like I've seen it this winter where some of these horses on paper that, and I know, listen, Brad's done well here this winter too. He's not the only trainer guilty of it, but there are some horses that have dropped that have looked like they're going to just go to the front, take care of business, or be competitive, and they just don't run. And I just have a weird feeling about this horse that with other speed to his inside, and maybe if you see something, thank you.
Is he going to get claimed?
For 40?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not. I mean, a lot of people are claiming a lot of horses.
I would think somebody would go in
off
for
a year and a
him.
half for Brad Cox.
I mean, maybe there's a trainer that goes in for him for 40, but
He seems like a tough horse.
yeah,
I agree.
I don't try. He can win. I
What's
think
your thing with the 1A? Who I picked 4.
2 starts back. The rail was good. The horse was 3 to 4 wide and still just missed that day. Ran a very good race. Duke of Gloucester became suddenly a good horse during that period of time. The last race was versus tougher. Maybe the track wasn't really what this horse likes, and drops to the right level in here as an outside post. He's not exactly slow. He's been up close and faster paces in longer races. So I can make a case for the 4 that we have on the board in here. But I don't, again, the entry thing bugs me. But at the end of the day, with horses like Mandatory and Best Bet that I thought may knock heads, I just thought maybe Thank You, John picks them up.
Mandatory doesn't win. He's 1 for 20 with 6 seconds. He's not a winning type. I'm not a fan. I'm a fan of him as a horse, but I'm not a fan of putting him on top in here. I'm not going to be surprised if Best Bet wins. I'm not going to be surprised if you're right about the 1A. I am married to betting a horse, and I know, you had scratched and you'd like the 4, I think the 4 who scratched Red DGP.
Yeah.
I have to bet Maggianera, who gets a significant rider change to Manny Franco, who's second off of a long layoff. He spent way too much time way close to the rail last time. This was one when riders stayed away from the rail. It's not clear the rail was bad, but he was spent a lot of time down there in a much tougher race going a mile last time out. I thought he was a very interesting horse last time, and He's got nothing but races that make him competitive in here. And having liked him last time and getting a sloppy track, going a mile against a better field, I've got to give him one more chance in here. And I thought there was enough speed that he could get the right kind of trip switching to Manny. So I took Maggianera. And I felt like he's one that I liked last time that I need to give another chance. And he's got nothing but races that can make him competitive.
Yeah, I have, like I said, any one of those 4 horses for me in the late pick 5 are horses that I'm using.
All right, Paul, thank you. Appreciate it. Head over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, no better time than the present. Use the promo code MATCH200, and we will match up to $200 of your initial deposit. We have a pick 6 carryover, $30,248. That'll kick off in race number 3 of our 8-race card today. Where's your biggest lean, Paul?
Biggest lean of the day. I am going to end up.
Not an easy one to lean.
No, not really. For me, I'm going through like my picks now. I'm gonna lean. I know it's a tough
I don't have a
one.
lean. I'm not a lean guy.
If I really had,
any way.
yeah, I mean, if I really had to, I'm gonna just take a look at Be the Boss. I know
Okay.
it's a tough race, but I'm
It is a
gonna take a
tough
look
race.
at Be the Boss.
$5,000 hit and split. Don't get involved in the pick 6, or you get eliminated in the first leg, or you want to play them both. Opt in over at Naira Bets, $5,000 hit and split. We also have a cross-country pick 5, race 6, 7, 8 here, and 9, 10 from Oakland. Race 10 will not be shown on America's Day of the Race, but you can always watch it on the app. Naira Bets. Head on over to FS2, though, 3 to 6 today, covering all the action during that time period for both here and Oakland Park. Paul, thank you again.
Yep.
We're done. Chris Griffin's just getting revved up, though, for a start to this big 4-day holiday weekend. Good luck.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.